Some words don't land. They dig. Not strong enough. Not smart enough. Not enough. If you've ever walked around with somebody else's sentence stapled to your name, this story is for you. Her name is Maya Ellis, 24, leaves off a road where the bus doesn't come often and the streetlights flicker like they're tired too. Day shift at a grocery store, night shift cleaning offices. On Sundays, she brings her mom chicken soup and laughter because medicine needs helpers. Maya is the oldest of 3. She learned coupons before cursive, grit before calculus. She collects her own, almost like pennies in a jar. Almost finished community college, almost took the promotion, almost asked for help. She writes to-do lists and misplaces them under the weight of to survive. She is careful. She is kind. She is convinced those are not marketable skills. During a work meeting, the new manager talks fast and looks past people like they're furniture. He says, "We need someone with presence for the front. Someone bigger." His eyes rest on Maya for a second and then keep going. Later in the break room, a coworker laughs. "Girl, you're sweet, but management, they want sharks." The word sweet feels like a compliment wrapped around a leash. On the bus ride home, the city blurs into a single sentence she's heard since 4th grade. "You're not enough for that." Once, a teacher with a hard mouth told her, "You're not math-brained." Once, a boyfriend said, "You're intense." Once, a supervisor called her a safe pair of hands, which is corporate for don't expect the microphone. Maya learns to excel at invisible. Spotless floors, flawless spreadsheets, nobody clapping. At the end of a long shift, Maya stops by a welding lab open house at the community college. The flyer said free coffee. She needs something hot to hold. The instructor, Rita Delgado, is 5 feet of steel and laughter. Gray streak in her ponytail. Scar on her thumb that looks like a comma. Rita hands Maya a helmet and says, "Want to see how a line of fire becomes a seam that holds?" Under the visor, sparks bloom like stars trying to speak. The metal hisses, melts, and then, because of angle, pressure, breath, stays. Rita flips the visor up and smiles. "People will tell you about talent. Welding is mostly truth and patience. The torch doesn't read your doubts. It reads your hands." Something unclenches in Maya, small as a click and huge as a door. That night, the word enough keeps circling. Enough to start, enough to stay, enough to fail and try again. Maya opens a notebook and writes 3 lines. "The lie, you're not enough. My decision, I am enough to begin. My work, prove it to myself daily." She tucks the page in her wallet like a tiny constitution. Day 1, touch fire, safely. She signs up for the intro welding class. Uses a fee waiver she didn't know she qualified for. Hands shake when she hits submit. She waits for an alarm to sound, for security to say, "Ma'am, wrong door." Silence. Then an email, "Welcome. Day 4 room audit." Maya looks at her bedroom like it's a machine she can tune. Laundry off chair, lamp bulb swapped warm, index cards on the mirror. 3 lines that matter. The space exhales. Day 7 body talk. Rita teaches stance, breath, and patience. Feet rooted, shoulders down, in through the nose, out like you're fogging a window. Maya's hands still tremble. The bead is crooked. "Strong hands aren't the point," Rita says. "Steady hands are." Steady comes from breath and telling yourself the truth. Day 12, the ask. Maya tells her store manager she wants the front shift. Not someday, now. She doesn't apologize for the sentence on her way in. He blinks like she threw a glass of water at his expectations. He says he'll think about it. She walks away with a heartbeat like a drumline and a spine that just relearned its job. Day 18, the first bad bead. The weld looks like a row of messy teeth. Maya feels the heat of a different kind, shame trying to be foreman. Rita taps the metal. "You see this? This is a teacher. Scrap talks if you listen." What does it say? That I hurried. And that I held my breath. Good. So breathe and do it again. Day 23, the mirror. Maya tries on a phrase out loud in her bathroom, to no one. "I'm a welder." Her face doesn't explode. The ceiling stays put. She tries again, softer and more true. I'm becoming a welder. Day 27, train the tape. The old voice says you're not math-brained. Maya learns to measure twice, cut once, and let the numbers be a map instead of a verdict. Day 33, the tiny public. She takes a Saturday shift fixing chair legs at the neighborhood rec center. No one pays attention until a kid sits on a chair that doesn't wobble and yells, "It works!" It's not applause. It's better. Day 40, the almost run. A classmate jokes, "Careful, fellas, she'll outweld us." In a tone that says maybe she won't, Maya feels the familiar lift of her feet, fight or flight in steel-toe boots. She plants them. "I'm just here to work," she says and turns the torch on. Day 51, money math. She cuts 3 monthly expenses with a mother's precision and starts an enough fun jar. $5 a day toward boots that don't blister and a hood that doesn't fog. Day 60, the pop quiz of life. Her boss schedules her for a double on the night of a mock certification. She wants to scream. Instead, she trades shifts, runs across a parking lot that smells like rain and French fries, and arrives late, breathless, helmet in hand. The instructor nods like he saw the sprint. The bead she lays is clean as a promise. Day 74, the soft yes. The store manager finally gives her the front shift to try. On her first day at the register, a customer says, "You're really good at this." Maya wants to say, "Thanks, I practice telling the truth with metal." She says, "Thank you," and means it. Certification day smells like metal, sweat, and coffee that has seen some things. The room is full of people louder than Maya. She finds Rita in the corner, who squeezes her shoulder and whispers, "Enough isn't a feeling, it's a decision. Decide again now." Under the visor, the world narrows to light and sound and breath. The torch sings. The puddle moves. She rides it steady. When she lifts the hood, the seam looks like a string of coins. Not perfect, strong. The evaluator runs a gloved finger along it and grunts. Maya feels like a window finally opened in a house she'd been living in for years. "You pass," he says. She doesn't jump. She doesn't shout. She closes her eyes and lets the sentence find a home. "I am enough to begin. I am enough to continue." At the store, a teen bagger who wears his hoodie like armor asks how to ask for a raise without fainting. She hands him her 3 lines on a sticky note. "Use this," she says. He does. It works. Her mom, who's been fighting her own tape for years, "You're too much to handle," shows up at the lab open house and tries a bead, hand shaking, grin like sunrise. Her little sister, Janelle, tells her school counselor she wants shop instead of study hall. Girls don't. The counselor starts, then looks at Maya's certificate in the picture on her phone and says, "Have every option. Let's find you a seat." Maya starts a Thursday night build club at the rec center. Fix one thing, make one thing, teach one thing. Kids arrive with broken scooters and heart stories. They leave with smoother wheels and lighter shoulders. A local contractor donates scrap. A neighbor whose porch has been tilting since 2009 asks, "Could you look?" Maya does. The porch isn't a metaphor. It sags. She takes measurements, draws lines like a road back to upright, and calls 2 classmates. They spend a Saturday sweating, joking, not flirting, just working. When they're done, the neighbor sits on the top step with a glass of lemonade and says, "I've been waiting to feel level again." Maya feels it too. The community college hosts a Women in the Trades night. Rita asks Maya to share for 2 minutes. Nothing big. The auditorium hums with fluorescent lights and pre-panel nerves. A circle of high school girls sits up front, their phones face down, their eyes trying not to hope too loud. Maya stands at the lectern, palms damp, breath steady. "People told me I wasn't enough," she says. "They were right about one thing. I wasn't enough for their story. So I started telling mine." She holds up a piece of scrap, one of her first bad beads, teeth all crooked. "This taught me to breathe." She holds up a clean seam. "This taught me I could." A girl in the front row wipes her cheek with a sleeve like she's not crying. "Same," she mouths. Maya nods. They both understand. Deciding you're enough doesn't magic wand the rent or make people instantly kind. Some days Maya's back hurts and the bus is late and the world delivers a stack of no's like junk mail. She keeps receipts anyway, stayed in the hard conversation, asked for a clearer timeline, stopped apologizing for existing in doorways, started labeling her feelings with the friendliness she gives strangers. On nights when the old tape finds its volume, not strong enough, not smart enough, she sits on her kitchen floor with tea and says out loud, "I'm not auditioning, I'm showing up." Her plants don't clap, her walls don't boo. The room simply holds her while she remembers. The rec center wants a new bench by the basketball court. Maya sketches a simple design. Strong, clean, bolts where boys can't pick at them. She invites the Thursday Build Club to help. They measure, cut, grind, paint. Someone proposes purple. They compromise with black with a purple stripe, bold, like a sentence that says "I am here." When they bolt it into concrete, a little girl in light-up sneakers sits like it's a throne and declares, "This is my favorite bench." A boy drops his backpack and asks if he can come back next week. "I want to make something else that stays," he says. Maya looks at the kids and the bench and the sky that keeps not falling. She thinks, this is what enough does. It makes room. If you need a place to start, here's Maya's simple, not easy plan. 1. Name the lie, write the decision, choose the work. On paper, 3 lines. Fold it and carry it. When the tape gets loud, read your own handwriting. 2. Make one room tell the truth. Desk, car, locker, phone, home screen. Move 3 things. Add 1 warm light. Order invites courage. 3. Ask for a small yes you're sure to earn. A shift at the front. A chance to try. Clearer deadline. Let doing argue with doubt. 4. Collect teachers you can hold. Scrap. Mistakes. Receipts of where you hurried and where you held your breath. Learn with your hands. 5. Build for somebody else. Fix 1 chair. Weld 1 seam. Tutor 1 kid. The fastest way to feel like enough is to be a bridge while you're crossing your own. You don't have to feel like enough to decide you are. Decisions lead. Feelings follow like well-trained dogs, sometimes stubborn, always catchable. On a late night, Maya rides home with steel dust in her hair and the kind of tired that means you were a person on purpose. She passes a house with a new porch light and a bus stop with a new bench and thinks, somebody's world is easier tonight because I believed me. She unlocks her door, sets her helmet on the table, and slides her 3 lines from her wallet. The paper is soft now. The ink is steady. The lie, you're not enough. On my decision, I am enough to begin. On my work, prove it to myself daily. She flips the page and adds 1 more line. On my promise, when I've got more than I need, I'll help build what you need. She tapes it to the fridge with a magnet shaped like a star. What's one thing you'll do this week to decide you're enough before you feel it? Write it below, then go do it. If the story lit a pilot light in you, like the video and share it, so it reaches someone who needs it tonight. Comment the lie you're replacing and the decision you're making. I read them. Subscribe for a new story every day. We'll practice together. 1 true line, 1 solid seam, 1 small room made better until it adds up to a life.